I'm in Coimbatore at the Shiva Texyarn factory. It's a 35-year-old textile company, but which also now has entered for a decade or so into the defense space, mainly in India, but also increasingly exploring markets across the globe for specialized clothing for Indian soldiers as well as soldiers abroad. These clothings are for winter use and basically for high altitude usage. And with me today is Dr. Sundararaman, who is the owner of Shiva Texyarn here, the MD, the managing director, and he's going to take us through the factory and the specialized area where the defense equipment or the defense clothing is manufactured. So thank you for your time and thank you for giving us this opportunity to come here.
Our pleasure having you with us, Nitin. Thank you so much.
So if you can tell us where we are and where we are going.
Right. So Shiva Texyarn, as you rightly said, is a 35-year-old company which has got a traditional aspect which is cotton spinning, but also we are leaders in technical textiles, particularly in protective clothing wear. When I say protective clothing, in the military context, that at the highest levels is in two areas. One is in chemical, biological, nuclear or NBC clothing and the protective ensemble that goes around it. And the second aspect is in cold weather clothing, which particularly for armed forces like us who operate in the northern region is an absolute essential lifesaver. So those are two areas we specialize in, and it's a technical aspect. It's not like normal clothing. And so what I'm going to take you through today is some of those aspects of what makes it a specialized product. And today we are at the lamination unit. Lamination is the process of bonding two fabrics together. Now that is a very broad way of defining it, but within that spectrum there's a lot of technical products you can do. So you can take a breathable waterproof membrane. I'm sure you would have heard of Gore-Tex. So something like that. You can use a membrane on a fabric and then it becomes an outer shell. When you use, instead of a membrane, when you put two fabrics, but you then add an additive, like a very special activated carbon, then it becomes the heart or the filtration layer that goes into creating the NBC clothing ensemble. So that's what we do in this unit here today.
The carbon is important.
The carbon is important. There are less than 10 people in the world who have access to this technology. In India, we are the only mass manufacturer of this product. It's a product that has come through us through a technology transfer from DRDO, Gokhale. But we were the only ones in the country who could scale it up. And today our plant in carbon, in the way we manufacture, is as good as what happens in the world. So the carbon is one aspect, or is the component, but then the application of the component is what we would see over here. Here we have a roll of fabric that's been laminated. If you can see here, this is the carbon impregnated layer. You can see that the part that's shining, the black portion. So that is the carbon that's been put on fabric. It's been put on in a very precise proprietary metered dosage way that makes sure there's automated? It's completely automated. There's a uniform 180 GSM of carbon that's loaded onto the fabrics. And then the fabrics rest for some time and they are then sandwich laminated with a layer on the back, which actually, if you can see, there's a white layer on the back that makes sure that then this layer is protected. And this then becomes the filtration layer for the nuclear, biological, chemical warfare protection suits. So this is very high-tech technology, and we specialize in doing this.
And meant for very eventuality which may not occur, hopefully, ever.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But also essential for the Indian Armed Forces to have this. So this is the
The carbon treated layers,
Right.
which are waiting for going into the lamination chamber for getting loaded on. Let me give you a small example of the carbon.
Sure. Oh.
Now, if you see this carbon, this is a resin carbon. It free flows.
Oh yes.
This is
So there is no moisture here.
there
nothing
is no moisture, and these are perfect spears. They have a very high break strength. So when a soldier, for example, is wearing this uniform and crawling,
Right.
even the stress at the elbow level should not break these particles and compromise the performance. And that's what makes it very
There
special.
should be no gap
There should
in
be.
whatever is wearing.
Exactly.
Because under those conditions, it's very
Then,
essential.
because if you have a sulfur mustard attack or something like what we see in the Middle East, occasionally we hear about these things.
Yeah.
We need complete protection for a soldier,
Right.
and which is why this is very special. There are less than 10 companies in the world who know how to make it.
You mentioned that. So, but this is a form. I mean, kind of mixture that you've made here. But the source material is what?
The source material is actually a resin that we get from multiple suppliers.
Okay.
They do not understand what we do
What
with
you're
it.
doing. So that's your proprietary.
That is our proprietary technology. What we are doing, right?
Oh, that's great. Okay. And then this fabric happens. And what is the fabric used for the layering of the carbon?
We use a cotton polyester fabric, and we select it because it has to be breathable.
Right.
In garments, in garments, one of the fundamental things, other than functionalities like waterproofing and all, is the physiological comfort aspect. Every garment has to be geared so that you know that the wearer can spend 6 to 8 hours in it without being unduly stressed. There should be no heat stress. There should be evaporation. There should be free flow of air, while not compromising on the technical aspects. And that
it's a major challenge.
it is a challenge.
Right.
And that's where the technology comes inside.
Okay. And so now you have these other fabrics also which you do for extreme cold clothing.
That's correct. Now, when we talk about extreme cold weather clothing,
Right.
it's a fairly complex set of products that we put together.
Right.
The outer shells of the fabric needs to be either printed or plain with water repellency, fire repellency, and essentially being impervious to the elements, but at the same time being able to pass out sweat, have this breathability, so that you don't actually accumulate sweat on the body.
Correct.
So one of the things that we do here, and there are multiple stages, is that we print our own fabrics.
Okay.
And it's a
And
very...
this pattern is given to you by the military?
Yes, the pattern is given to us by customers. Each
Right.
customer, for example, the Indian Army would have their own proprietary print, and it is we should not misuse it or give it outside.
Yeah.
So with those aspects, we actually go out and make these products. So we are able to, we have a range of facilities that gives us flexibility in doing even short specialized runs for some customers.
Right.
And that's
those
what
who
we
want something only limited edition
quantities or limited edition products, we're able to do, and that's just because of the wide range of machinery that we are able to use over here.
And because you also have a larger, the facility of a textile
That's correct. Where
manufacturer.
it's dual use, where we give it out for other people.
Yeah. So this fabric also is made by you?
Some of the fabrics are made by us, some we buy from outside, from some specialist vendors, because since it's a wide range of materials, we can't make everything in-house.
Yeah, it shouldn't also.
But
I
we
mean, that's
should.
how
True.
the supply chain works, I suppose.
So some of the core things, what we don't want other people to know, or what we define as the core element of the product, we make it ourselves.
Yeah,
The rest
exactly.
we get from
So
outside.
that remains with you.
That's correct.
And that's why the military will trust you.
That's correct.
Going forward. So tell me, how did you get into defense? I mean, being a normal vanilla textile company, then became a technical textile company. What made you come into defense?
We were an extremely unlikely candidate to be a defense supplier. Like you said, we were quite successful in the conventional business.
Right.
In 2013, we had a request from the DRDE Gwalior saying that we have this carbon material that we need to put in a particular form and with a particular kind of wash pattern, wash resistance rather, on the fabric, and we have not been successful almost 2 years.
I see.
So we just smiled, we said please send it over, and we made it for them in 48 hours.
Wow.
And within the next 2 days, the director of the lab flew over and said, you have done something that nobody has done before. We would like you to be a defense supplier. So they convinced us to be a defense supplier.
That was the first introduction for you into defense?
That was the first introduction to the defense.
And that was in 2013?
That was in 2013.
Okay.
But at 2013 stage, it was still a concept. We had made a product which would work,
Right.
and an Indian Army RFI had come out for about 1,000 crores for the product.
Right.
We had to do certain things forward. The reason that what makes us successful is we do forward investments into technology, even when the orders are not actually in hand,
Right.
which is what gives us a dominant position. So we put up a carbon plant.
Uh-huh.
Once we had done these trials, we took a TOT from DRDO.
Yeah.
They had a trial lab of about 10 kgs per day production.
I see.
But even they could not, they didn't have the experience of scaling it up.
Right.
So it was a trial and error. And we did a huge investment at that point of time. Because we
Without
said,
any orders being in
without
your
any
hand.
orders.
Yeah.
And that has been our success, our ability to take calculated risks
Right.
of forward technology investments, knowing very well that at some point those orders would fructify. Because unless you are able to play with your carbon, you would not be able to have consistency. And unless your people are trained in checking that carbon on a day-to-day basis, you would not have complete comfort even if you were to buy it from outside.
Okay.
So-
So you needed that comfort and within your own organization to do this.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then, so after that, what happened after you set up the plant?
So in 2016, the first tender
Right.
came, and it was a limited tender because there was a technology transfer for 2 vendors in India, and we were the L1,
Right.
and we actually then started supplying NBC suits to the Indian Army.
Okay.
And it has been a journey from then on. We then started making another product of the ensemble called a haversack, NBC haversack. We have successfully supplied that to the Indian Army. We have supplied it to some of the special forces. At this point of time, we are executing a very large order for an NBC suits for the Indian Air Force.
Oh, excellent.
And so that in the world of NBC clothing, we are a globally recognized player. Though it is a restrictive product.
Naturally.
It cannot be exported like that.
Does it
says-
come under SCOMET?
It comes under SCOMET. It comes under the weapons of mass destruction category. Though it's not exactly a weapon,
No,
it's
it
a
is not a
protective
weapon.
thing.
It's a protective
But it
thing.
is still. So we have to. So Government of India, if we do exports, it would be through the Government of India's aegis and through their blessings and through a G2G mechanism.
Right.
I think so. NBC is broadly in that spectrum.
Sure. What about extreme cold clothing? How did you come into that?
That's another story. I will take you there. But
Yeah.
but before that,
Yes.
can I show you our labs where we test the
Of
carbon?
course.
Then
of
we
course.
can.
That
test-
is more important.
Yeah.
because, like you said, without the carbon, nothing.
Nothing
gets
happens.
done.
Yes.
Sure.
So these are our labs.
Ah.
So this section is all conventional labs.
Right.
But I'm going to go here.
Yes.
So he's our lab technician and who runs both the conventional as well as specialist labs.
Right.
So in technical textiles, lab become the heart of your entire processes,
Right.
because if you're not able to very precisely measure and qualify the material you're making, you would neither be able to put it into production,
Right.
nor would you be able to actually make it better.
Meet
Right?
and meet the requirements. Also.
Meet the requirements also. So what we have here is a one-of-a-kind machine. It's
Right.
a surface area and pore analyzer. This is essentially the equipment on which we test our carbon.
Right.
Now, the whole concept of protection in carbon or activated carbon base is your ability to have a very large pore surface. So it holds on to the molecules of all the chemicals that comes inside.
Right. Right.
So one is pore surface, and second is to classify those pore surfaces into macropores, mesopores, and so there are certain technical aspects to the pore structure
Right.
of carbon, which is essential. And the second thing is, of course, the surface area, because the more the surface area, the more it absorbs.
Right.
So there's a certain level of testing that is requires to be done. So very sophisticated equipment. There are probably 1 or 2 like this in India, and it's specialized. In fact, anybody who wants to do carbon-based testing, in fact, they come and request us, and we do it for them.
Yeah,
for
I'm
free.
sure. So right now it's being tested.
Right now, it's being tested
carbon
as
is
such.
being tested,
Thing.
yeah. So
Another equipment that I would like to show
Yeah,
is this. It is called a hot plate
Okay.
thermal insulation testing well. There are only 2 equipments of this kind in India at this point of time. One in WRI lab,
I see.
and the other is in nothing. This is the core mechanism by which we check the insulation the heat of or the flow value
Okay.
of a product.
So suppose the heat, this is insulated from heat is what you would test.
So what happens is there's a hot plate down,
Yeah, down
with a
there.
constant temperature.
Correct.
This material is laid.
Right.
The chamber is environmentally conditioned, and the temperature on the other side is measured. And so you see over a
Up
period
there,
of
yeah.
time
Okay,
what is the heat transmission through the other side,
Right.
and in an indirect way you calculate what is the insulation of the
What required.
the insulation level of that particular product.
Okay.
So this is again the heart of our ECWCS or cold weather clothing systems,
Right.
because we are constantly improving by putting new fiber mixes into the machine.
Sure.
And as I was saying, there are two aspects of what we check. One is the aspect of insulation. The second is the aspect of rebound or resilience of the
Which you
of the
mentioned
body.
that if you're sitting, then it's gone up and then
It
comes
has to
back.
it has to come back to its original form.
Yeah. So the jackets or trousers, if people are wearing, they should be stretchable enough or resilient enough. like you
Resilient
said.
enough so that there's a bounce back effect.
Okay.
So those are the things that we test in these labs.
How did you get onto this particular aspect? I mean, is it trial and error that, or you yourself, because you've done textiles earlier, you know that this is required?
I have a broad understanding, but this is an area for specialists.
Okay.
So we put together a team that had worked for about 10 to 12 years in organizations like Centers of Excellence and Textile Research Association of India,
Right.
who had done work with wadding, but then who did not have the necessity to go to the next stage. So we brought them in. We consulted widely to see how we can fit an equipment.
Sure.
And we have a customized plant that makes these waddings. It's not a off-the-shelf plant.
Right.
Each component has been custom made to give a particular performance. And I think so. In most of these things, being knowledge industries, it's about your team,
Sure.
the kind of people you put
Put
together.
together,
and
yeah.
then that's
No,
what-
so I'm also more interested in you yourself are a medical doctor. So how did you get into this first? Before we get into other things, you tell me that story.
Oh, that's a long story, Nathan. I think. So I come from a family background of, we have our own hospital. My father is a very well-known doctor in India. He's one of the very senior endourology surgeons of India.
Right.
And so there was, at that stage, a desire to, or rather a confusion, to wondering what to do. Do I go into medicine? Do I go into business? Because we also come from a business family background. So I went into medicine because the logic was medicine would anyway sharpen your mind.
Sure.
And you cannot do a non-medicine practitioner cannot become a doctor.
Sure.
Whereas a medicine study
Can
person
always
can always
come
come.
into
So that was the thing. So, but by the time I had finished medical school, I was fairly sure that I wanted to be in business because creativity was what I was very much interested in.
Right.
And we had a textile background, and that's where it all started. So post medicine, I did an MBA from the Cambridge University in the UK.
Right.
So that was formal management education.
Right.
Came back, but much of the knowledge has been on the ground.
Sure.
Going to trade fairs, meeting people, understanding the essence of a product, understanding what goes inside,
Sure.
and then over a period of time putting together the competencies within the organization that allows us to do our own R&D.
Yeah. So this specialization is something that you would have foreseen that you require to do it. And of course that break you got from DRDO,
That's
asking you to do something which they couldn't do, perhaps.
It was a great start of our current journey.
Yeah, exactly. What are these products?
So these are multiple samples that have been.
Socks.
Okay, so this is the socks that goes into our. We don't do it,
Right.
but we have an experimental thing just to do it. So we have the capability to do it, but we are not commercially. This is the socks that are used by Siachen Glacier for the soldiers.
Siachen Glacier, okay.
The only things that they have not yet indigenized there is they have not indigenized the shoes.
Shoes.
They still come from an Italian company called Scapa.
Yeah.
But other
But
than
rest
that,
is all with the caps
everything.
and-
So there are all kinds of materials that are tested here for insulation. For example, these are materials where an aluminum foil is bonded with a foam on the back,
Right.
and these go into insulation for ducts.
For
So they are all sent to this lab for varying kinds of testing, and then they
I
come.
can see that. Yeah. I think this is the heart of your
This is the heart of the operation.
And then you have all this fabric.
So that's the baby products
I see.
segment that we
No,
do.
but that's what I'm interested in. That you have a range. I mean, for military application, and then now you have.
That's correct. So this product was invented by us.
Okay.
We're very proud of the fact that we made this product. We conceptualized it
Right.
in 2005.
Okay.
That's almost 19 years back.
Yes.
Uh, At the time, the only thing that babies were sleeping on were rubber sheets.
Rubber sheets, yes.
They were not very comfortable and there were
Yeah,
hygiene
for their,
issues.
in their bed, basically.
In their bed.
Okay.
So for babies incontinence, we took this very soft fleece fabric
Right.
and we put a thin, breathable polyurethane membrane on the back.
Uh-huh.
This was a derivative of the military technology, but at that time we found good use for it.
Yeah, it's excellent.
And thank you. We made this product called Quick Dry.
Right.
And literally we invented this category called dry sheet.
Right.
Today we retail this in our own brand through about 8,000 retailers across the country.
Wow.
About
In any
260.
case, in India, baby boom is always
Absolutely.
there.
So if you are doing anything to do with people or babies,
Right.
India is the best place
Best
to be.
place to do, yeah. So it's called Quick Dry.
It's called Quick Dry.
I see.
We have sold millions of units over the last 18 years. I mean, literally, I would say it's a very household name for anybody with a young child in India. and you would be surprised, Nathan, there were times 10 years back, there was not an equivalent product in the US.
Oh.
So Indian mothers who would go for their daughter's child being born in the US
yes.
would specifically, if not for anything else, take a few quick dry pieces with them. So people from the US used to call back and compliment us, saying this is a wonderful product.
So now you're selling it there also?
No, it goes through channels. It goes through our distributors, but yes, it goes to many Indian stores over there.
I'm sure. So these are all the same products, is it?
So that's all the products. That's where the cutting, sorting, packing, and lamination section.
Okay.
So not laminations down. But the cutting, sorting section, they put the inserts, they pack it in.
Right.
Every day, there are about 15,000-20,000 pieces go out of the factory. I think they go to our warehouses and they distribute across the country.
And I can see mostly women here.
Mostly women workforce. We believe in women workforce empowerment. I would say more than 65% of the 2,000 odd workers in the Shiva Tex organization are women.
Yeah.
Some of them are from the local region, but many of them are actually from across India. They come and they are housed here.
Right.
And so this is one of our brands, Cozy Plus.
Cozy Plus,
Quick Dry is our primary brand.
Right.
So, but this is how we are packed, and this is how the products go out.
Yeah. You know, so your range is amazing because from baby products to soldiers
True.
being protected.
The technologies are similar, but the applications are very varied.
No, so again, here I think your own varied background, coming from a business family and also having done medicine, having done MBA, all that, probably gives you that flexibility to apply technology and the material into various products.
You are absolutely right. What happens when you don't come from a conventional background in any industry is you start thinking out of the box.
Correct.
And then you look at all the varied applications and then don't get stuck into a narrow stream.
Yeah. So that you can clearly see how you've widened the scope of not just textile or technical textiles, but into various applications like you've just shown us.
Right.
As far as defense and design.
From wallpaper to...
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, these wallpapers are done by you?
all these wallpapers are done by us. So we have a coating division as well.
Right.
So there's a combination of technologies between coating and lamination and our printing department. So we have ready to print fabrics where we custom print as the customers want. And we can, the advantage of that is we can do short runs.
Right.
We can even take a photograph and print it. But the underlying aspect of each of these products, as in our other products, is there is an element of technology that's unique
Sure.
in what we do.
And this wallpapers are now retailed also?
These wallpapers are retail online and as well as through select architects and influencers in the building industry.
Ah, okay. In the construction and
industry.
the residential industry. Wow. That means, the range that is available, or it can be customized, right? You said.
Oh yes, it can be customized to any design, any print format that is required. Some of the products most of the products for indoor use, but you also have products for outdoor use.
Right.
There are no wallpaper manufacturers per se within the country. So they
all come from outside?
They all come from outside.
So is this a wallpaper that you would have done?
Absolutely. So that's what we call a mural system.
Right.
A mural system as against a system where you have got multiple prints. A mural is a single image that is then completely captured, and it can be taken to any size. It's only about the resolution of the image
Yes.
that matters.
Correct.
Otherwise, there's a reasonable amount of high fidelity printing that goes.
Yeah.
So even an image of that size,
Correct.
you have.
Yeah, it's looking beautiful actually, and you know, it looks original actually.
Yeah, thank you.
That's how. But yeah, I think wonderful to see such, you know, innovation and application for defense forces as well as for families.
For the civilian
Indian
markets.
families, exactly. So we can
Thank
see
you.
some final products.
No, yeah, we are going to the garment
We're
factory
going
now.
to the
The
thing.
garment
So I
factory.
need to take a break. We will look at the final product, their jackets and you know, other products that they have to the garment factory. Don't go away. I am in conversation with Dr. Ram of Shiva Texyarn, who are, apart from their normal textile business, have also ventured for a decade or so into defense business and are now showing the results, supplying it to the Indian military as well as to the specialized forces within the Indian military. Don't go away.
So this is a sampling section. This is where all the sample tailors would be.
Right,
And so each of them are given. So this section is only for sampling.
right.
And we go through the whole range of things. So Vignesh runs the sampling department.
Okay.
I think this is going for Japan, huh?
That.
For Japan.
So what? This is a jacket.
It's a jacket.
I see.
It's so like I said, civilian markets, they're looking at everything goes like from the buttons, zippers,
Right.
bit of technology. You would find that there are wires here, small wires would be there just so to put the product shape.
exactly.
And so there are civilians market, Nitin, is be dictated by aesthetics.
Right. Absolutely.
Whereas
Style and
in military,
aesthetics.
we are looking at durability and performance.
Durability, yeah,
That's what
exactly.
we do. So what we do here is this is just a demo area to show what products we make. So this is the ECWCS product
Okay.
that goes for the ITBP.
Okay, yeah.
It's actually
this is their uniform.
this
color.
their uniform color.
Yeah.
It's reversible. On one is it's white
Right.
and this is camouflage on the outside.
Right.
It's 3 layered. It's got this green layer inside,
okay.
and it's got the black innermost.
Oh, that also is there.
That's also there.
Okay.
So this product is actually a DRDO collaboration, which we give to the ITBP,
Right.
and it's absolutely top class in terms of its specs.
I'm sure.
Uh,
And they, so like ITBP now, I mean, they are always perpetually deployed in higher
in higher altitudes, almost as much as the regular army.
Correct.
So they require a robust solution with their own colors,
Absolutely.
and which is what we've made for them.
what
And that is a lightweight NBC suit.
I was just going
They-
to ask.
For some areas, for both for training purposes as well as for areas where the protection need not be there for an extended period of time.
Right.
One of the DRDO's requirement was for a product that would have a much lighter weight,
Right.
easier to work with, but also not necessarily that high a spec.
Okay.
And so this is a lightweight suit that we have made for them.
Okay.
This is the new generation ECWCS,
Okay.
which is a 7-layer ECWCS that we are
7-layer.
working with DRDO.
Oh, I see.
It's not yet deployed, it's actually under service.
Okay.
The patterns of military are more of the NATO format, the disruptive patterns are more, I think. The fabrics are of a much higher level of performance
lightweight.
in terms of, it's very lightweight. So the 7-layer ensemble is a concept that DRDO is experimenting with.
I see.
Again, we are their official trial partner to manufacture these products.
Right.
I think. This is the standard NBC, the standard
Yeah.
NBC format that goes into the Indian Army,
Correct.
of which, like, you know, we are making quite a lot right now. There's a large run happening for the Indian Air Force.
I
with
see, Air
us,
Force also.
I think.
And
So
this
that
bag
bag
comes
is
with
called the haversack.
Haversack.
It is part of the dress.
Okay.
Though it is actually, when it's tendered, it's separate.
Right.
In terms of the specifications, it's the same. It has the same kind of protection as the suit, and you require, because essentially the entire area around you is contaminated,
Yeah,
and so you need to have something.
So you give gloves also with this?
Yes, there is a glove that goes with it that is not part of the ensemble. They have a butyl glove right now. We have made an advanced glove using the same kind of filter fabric that's used here.
Okay.
And in further versions, the DRDO would be approving that for trial.
Oh, I see. So, but what is it? This is that carbon thing that you were
So
showing
this is the
us.
carbon. So the heart of the NBC suit
Uh-huh.
is the carbon fabric.
Right.
The outside fabric is an aramide fabric that is highly heat resistant. And what you would see here is the carbon fabric.
This
so the,
one,
yes.
yeah,
So this entire garment has got the carbon fabric on the inside,
Inside, yeah.
that is stitched.
Okay.
And so that's what gives you the filtration protection.
Sure.
And the outer is waterproof, oil resistant, fire resistant, and
Wow.
so the Indian Army, I have to say, sometimes the specs are even better than whatever is in the world. So very few people would use an aramide outer for an NBC. I think even the best of my knowledge, even the Americans are not
They
using
don't
it.
use, okay.
So we have a very high spec product here.
Nice. So now, then once it's inducted in the Indian Army, then it's easier to sell it outside.
Exactly,
Anywhere.
outside the
That's what most people say.
True.
And this
So
is
this is again from the same pattern, but another layer. You can see that this is a padded layer.
okay.
That's so it
It's for extreme,
adds to the insulation.
cold.
It's extreme cold climate. Right. These are our civilian ensembles.
Right.
We make many of these products in-house. We have a lot of the capacity. So the wadding that is inside would be from us.
Right.
The printing happens in our own factories.
Okay.
All these garments have got certain technical elements like they are seam sealed so that there's no water leakages.
This is waterproof.
It's waterproof. And many of these products, they go into the Japanese market and some very specialized high-end markets.
So it's a reverse thing. Like Uniqlo comes here.
Come
and this
here,
goes there.
we then go there.
Exactly.
We then go there.
Oh, lovely. So you got a lot of designs.
There are quite a lot of designs. There are some people in the civilian market who would like to have
this
a military print.
Right. But you can't
these are-
give the full thing.
You
so
can't.
obviously,
Yes. So these are very lightweight.
Right. I can see
And
this.
the insulation quality is very high. This jacket would easily withstand a temperature of -5 degrees centigrade.
Okay.
At the same time, the entire garment would have a constructed weight of around 600 grams at
Hardly
most.
anything,
So hardly
yeah.
anything. And that's so there are
Different patterns you've done.
there are when it comes to the civilian market, like I was saying, it's more about the aesthetics.
Right.
And when it comes to the military, it's more about the
Durability.
durability and the functionality.
Endurance, yeah. Exactly.
We also do a range of T-shirts. Our garment factories, we supply these materials to companies like Decathlon. We supply to Jockey buys a lot of material from us. So we supply it in fabric form.
Right.
We also make actual garments, T-shirts, garments out of it, like this product.
This, okay.
Nexus. We sell these to corporate customers. There would be some products for large companies like Yamaha, Hyundai, and others.
Yeah.
We also have a range of women's leisure wear under a brand Coppersmith. We have two physical stores, one in Chennai and one in Coimbatore.
Really?
We do. And we also have an online presence.
Right. And this, of course, is your
These are our
best-selling.
best-selling products range.
quick dry.
Now, this is a product that was originally developed for Decathlon, but then we also offer to some other customers. It's very unique. It's a microfiber towel
Right.
that's extremely quick drying and
Oh.
very thin.
The other day, somebody gave it to us. The blue color one.
There's a blue
something,
blue
yeah.
petrol. So you would have most probably come from our company.
Acha, okay.
Because in India, in the world, there are only 5 manufacturers for Decathlon
Does
for
it?
this.
Decathlon. So okay. So I think my wife would have got it from Decathlon.
She would have got it from Decathlon.
There's a blue color and similar pattern.
True.
Actually, with this.
No, yeah, with that piping. With that piping. So this is a typical Decathlon
and
style
apparently
product.
it's also very quick drying. So
Extremely quick
like
drying.
she just went for trekking, so there she took this, and I remember buying this.
So,
Yeah, lovely.
so these are all the wrappers and the entire ensemble of baby products,
Baby products,
that we do.
And then you have this
Our
also.
backpack range goes
this
under the
I've
name of
seen a lot
Wolf.
time, yeah, Wolf.
You would have seen Wolf
Yeah,
backpacks. Today we don't sell it in the general market. It goes specifically into the corporate trade.
Right. Okay.
Now, one of our specializations is heavy stitchings. So in heavy stitching, we have backpacks, rucksacks, particularly military rucksacks as a specialty.
Right.
So what we have here is a 90-liter rucksack that goes into the Indian Army.
Sure.
We have 2 versions of rucksacks here. This black one is for the special forces. It is in
uniform,
their
it goes with
pattern,
their uniform,
with their water bottle, and it goes with their uniforms.
Right.
We have this product here, which is the 70-liter rucksack that goes into the Siachen glacier.
I see. Yeah, because they need smaller ones.
Yeah, they need smaller ones to actually put inside. The weight is just about slightly more than 2 kilos, and it's extremely rugged with an exterior aluminum frame.
Which you had mentioned, why
Yes.
they wanted it for that sled thing.
That they for the sled. I think they've taken the sled off this one.
That's okay.
I will.
Yeah.
Sorry. This one has got the sled on.
This is the one.
You can see the sled
Yeah,
over
yeah,
here,
yeah.
and they use it as a multi-functional sled. They use it to
Right.
pull the thing.
Correct.
So this is a product which only 2 companies in India have the technology transfer, and
From DRDO?
From DRDO. I'm sorry. This one is sorry. On the other the bag that you see in the end is from DRDO.
Right, okay.
This one is
That's a
actually
90 liter.
only 2 people in India have trial cleared it in SME.
Oh, okay.
So-
Yeah, but even then, I mean, I'm sure there are orders in the future.
There will be orders coming in the future. No, this is a regular affair because it's like I say, it's the backbone of
Yeah,
carrying
exactly.
systems, the backbone of product. So
And those are, of course, we've seen the trial.
you've seen the trial rooms. So what we will do, we will go down.
Yes,
Maybe we'll go down like this
Okay.
and get down there.
Sure.
So we can
We can come from there.
We can come.
So this is where the military clothing or extreme cold clothing, NBC clothing, everything is finally sort of packed after their finished product is assembled here. As you've seen, many of these steps are to be followed. Stringent quality checks are done in this factory, and therefore this is what will make the Indian military depend more and more on indigenous manufacturers rather than importing some of these stuff which used to come earlier from outside. So that's where I think Shiva Texyarn is doing a job for the Indian military.
Thank you very much.
Something which we should be very proud of, because I think the world is going to look at this also going forward. And like you said, you also supply civilian clothing to Japan and other places.
That's correct.
Yeah.
It's basically, Nitinji, it's interdependent. We learn from the civilian markets, from the competition. We see the North Faces, the Patagonias of the world. We understand new construction techniques, materials. We compete with them there. But then we take that experience and give it here.
Okay.
But what those companies don't have, and which is unique to us, is we have the experience of supplying to people in places like Siachen who wear these garments.
They will never have those kind of.
They will never have that background, and so
Right.
so for us, we have that stamp of having been able to supply products in the harshest regions in the world.
Right.
And the dual advantage that and happiness, I would say that we are supporting our Jawans
Sure.
in truly inhospitable terrains.
Absolutely.
And we having been there and we have seen their spirit.
Sure.
It's the least we can do in being able to support
That's
this.
right. Well, that's good to know. You get enough feedback from them on some of your products?
Very much, very much. The Army's systems of interaction have strengthened over a period of time. In fact, in the Northern Command, there is a regular 1-week interaction of potential vendors with the actual users, and there's a lot of feedback that comes to us on our products, which then we sort of make sure in the next versions we are able to correct that.
Right. Tweak
And
them or improve them, upgrade them.
That's correct. Correct. Because it's a constant journey to becoming better and better.
So that collaboration is very important, which I think has now started happening for a decade or so in the Indian military.
Absolutely.
That's good to know. But great job. Thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure to see, and very proud one feels looking at the kind of capacity and capability that you have developed.
It's a pleasure and honor having you with us. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
That was Dr. Ram telling us about what Shiva Texyarn is doing in military space, apart from, of course, their strength in normal textile and technical textiles. That's all I have from on the shop floor with Shiva Texyarn in Coimbatore. With Vashisht and Pawan, this is Nitin Gokhale for Bharat Shakti. In our next episode, watch how ammunition is manufactured. We visit the Adani Ammunition Complex in Kanpur. Stay tuned.